And we are live. It's alive. Oh my God. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Zodiac Lounge. Consider us your friendly neighborhood basement speakeasy where anything goes as long as you get in. We encourage you to drink, and all friends are welcome. Trolls will not be tolerated. This is a place where we're going to meet every week on Saturday, 7 p.m. And hopefully, at some point, you'll learn the history of the real Zodiac Lounge before it became virtual. But it's a place where everybody is safe. You can come in, take off your mask, both figuratively and literally, sit down, speak your mind. We don't care about sex, religion, politics, orientation. The only thing we care about is pronouns. We have one rule here in the Zodiac Lounge. There are no pronouns because they're getting way too confusing. But we do want everybody to know that we can speak freely. There are some places that we can still do that. We have a great show for you tonight. I have two amazing healers with us, both working in connecting the body, the mind, and the spirit. One focuses more on the body, mind, the other on the body, spirit, and we're going to get into that. But a little bit of background on this whole idea. The idea of your body as a temple goes all the way back to the book of Ecclesiastes. And I heard it when I was in grade school because I had nuns teaching me. And I didn't think much of it then because the only temple I knew was the church I belonged to. And that wasn't terribly exciting. And neither was my body at 6 years old. But then when I got a little older, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, it suddenly made a resurgence because it was the beginning of the whole New Age movement. And everybody said, your body is a temple, treat it as such. And I thought, oh my God, I've been going about this all wrong because I was more like a Six Flags theme park. But I applied myself. I did the whole thing. I did the cleansing. I did the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo stuff. I did everything I could to become a clean, perfect spiritual being and keep my body perfect. And I was miserable because it wasn't balanced. We are often compelled to achieve a standard that is perfection. And perfection is really unattainable because we are not perfect. I think the easiest way I can explain this now at this ripe old age, I can sit here and tell you that I don't entirely approve of everything I've ever said, done, or even been for that matter. But I'd be a liar if I said that I didn't enjoy every shady minute that I was doing all those things that I decided later that I couldn't do. So in my 20s, I decided that I can't possibly stop partying. I mean, it was the 70s on the cusp of the 80s. But if I was going to party hard, I had to sleep, eat, and rest just as hard. I had to make sure that I took care of myself nutritionally. I had to create balance. If I pulled an all-nighter and rolled right into work from an after-hours joint, I made sure that I took my supplements, I didn't go out for a couple of days, and I cleansed myself and balanced myself and got back into the swing of things. And that's why we're having this broadcast today, because this is the weekend, statistically, that most people give up on their New Year's resolutions. And we all make them, and we all break them around the third or fourth week of January because we're trying again to adhere to perfection, which is completely impossible. And so now, what do we do? I mean, COVID helped a lot. The COVID-19 usually lands right in the midsection. And I've heard people say, I'm going to knock off that COVID-19 by February. And they might have taken a pound off, but they made themselves miserable doing it. So it really comes down to balance. And I'm looking at my notes here because your body can be a temple. But if you check out ancient temple culture, some of those temples pretty much rocked. I mean, they were kind of like the Studio 54 of their day. So there's a new way to approach this. We have new tools at our fingertips, and we have amazing technicians that are going to teach us all about how to use them. So I would love to welcome my first guest, Richard Mack. He's the co-founder of Mind Your Body. You can find him at mindyourbody.us. I'll post the URL in the chat later on, and you'll be able to meet him right now and hear what he's all about. So, Richard, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us and being part of this.
Thank you, Anthony, for having me on your show.
So, tell us a little bit about Mind Your Body. You have two other partners, is that correct?
I do.
So tell
My
us the story.
Sure. So, Mind Your Body is a wellness center in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. We work with the modality of somatic movement re-education, which is basically the mind and the body. Somatic simply means through the brain. Um, we are all yogis. Madalena Ferrara is my partner who actually runs the yoga side of our business. She's a yoga therapist, which is very different than a yoga teacher. They use the Ayurvedic methods of yoga as part of the healing tools as we heal ourselves. What we're going to be talking about and what we encourage people at Mind Your Body is how do you become your own doctor? You have that capacity to be your own doctor. We all have the tools necessary for that, but it's a matter of accessing them. And Debbie Catania is my other partner, and Debbie is also a yoga teacher and a Traeger practitioner. We're all Traeger practitioners. Traeger is the modality that we learned to be somatic movement educators, re-educators, therapists, if you would. And we work with a wide variety of people. I personally love working with cerebral palsy athletes. I'm part of the CP soccer team, which is an international team of soccer players that have cerebral palsy, and they are the farm team for the U.S. Paralympic team. So I have an opportunity to work with some very, very motivated and very determined, beautiful people, both boys and girls. And I also work with the Navigators, which is not soccer. It's field and track, swimming, and a number of other things, again, associated with the Paralympics.
Can you tell us, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you tell us in layman's terms,
Sure.
Explain somatic movement therapy?
Sure. So the idea of somatics of the brain, it's the fact that the whole show is run from the brain, okay? There's no such thing as muscle memory. Muscles are dumb. They only know one of two things, on or off, or any in between. So when I take my hand and I move it like this, there are signals coming from here, going down through my nervous system to the muscle spindles that basically are contracting my hand or releasing my hand, okay? So the show is all run up here. And somatic movement is the idea that we impact our movement by the quality of signal that's coming down from the brain.
Okay. Is that like neuroplastics?
So so that's a great question. What is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is a recent science discovery that basically we've moved away from the brain cannot change to the fact that the brain is constantly changing. Neuroplasticity, simply put, is the ability of the brain to overwrite a wrong. For example, we go into a trauma. We have an injury, or car injury, say. Your body goes into some sort of a situation that it needs to block off a section because it needs a cast. And the brain will do something to that arm that was wrapped around the steering wheel that got ripped out of its socket or whatever, to a place where it can heal. It needs to heal. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be some new movement patterns that are put into place that will allow those muscle tissues to heal. After the trauma is released and that particular part of your body is healed, there's a residue of those, we call them workarounds. Your body has created a workaround. If you've ever noticed when you limp, right? You hurt your leg, you start limping. Over a period of time, you may still have a trace.
One second. There's an awful lot of background noise going on. Okay, it stopped now. Okay, good, because I was finding it very difficult to hear you, but you're saying something really important. Do you mind picking that up a little bit before you left off?
Sure. So we're talking about trauma and the body's ability to deal with trauma. It deals with the trauma, call it a physical trauma. The body needs to be able to shut down that particular part while the healing takes place. And the healing is the cells and the muscle tissues and so forth regenerating themselves. But while that's happening, look at it as like a cast. Your body has created a cast to protect that area while the healing is occurring. And after the healing has completed its process, The mind, the brain had put the pattern in place to not use that part of your body, or to have another part of your body continue to
Compensate.
compensate.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
That compensation continues to linger, and over time we create more and more compensations, and I call them workarounds, that the very simplest movement pattern becomes a real gyration of different things. That's why people don't move simply. If you watch somebody walk with grace, their movement is effortless. And then you watch other people that, they really struggle with the way their whole body is moving. And that's a lot of reworking that's gone in, and it's still up in their brain. It's their patterns that continue to fire their muscles that way.
Now, I worked with that in with emotional trauma with people. And the premise is that every time we have a thought, whether it's a thought about, let's say that there's somebody who is prone to being depressed and they're convinced that they're going to fail at everything and they have final exams coming up. So the automatic idea is, I'm going to fail. That's like a compensatory ambulatory movement for a broken limb or a traumatized limb. So every time you have that thought, or every time you make that physical movement, a neuron travels across the surface of the brain. Correct. And every time it travels along the same path, the groove it makes a groove, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is physically available to see. It's amazing, because I saw firing neurons in real time. And then with emotional trauma, in the example that I just gave, I would then suggest that a person, instead of being convinced that they're going to fail, that they give it a 50-50. I might fail, I might not. So they have to consciously redirect that neuron to a new destination. And then the more they do it, you can actually see them jump and start the new path. And the more they do it, the deeper that groove gets, and then it goes to that healthier place of 50-50. So am I to assume that it's the same thing with body movements as well as thoughts? Okay.
It's exactly the same.
So that makes it a lot easier for me to understand. I'm a little dumb. So
you're not dumb at all. And you bring up a very interesting point, emotional trauma. I mean, we talk about physical trauma, but I have to say that in the last 9 months, I'm seeing so much emotional trauma.
Yeah.
People are coming in with migraine headaches. They're coming in with, their bodies. I call it, you got a turtleneck because you're doing this. Your body is just drawing up to protect itself. That's an emotional reaction. And we need to be able to release that. And it's the same principle. It's the same principle. Recognizing where those muscles are being tight. A lot of people are holding their tension inside their shoulders. A lot of people.
I tend to do that. I get all crunched up.
Exactly.
And then I just open my hands, which is my trick, because we clench when we're anxious. If you open your hands and breathe, and just drop your shoulders. All those dance lessons coming back to me about keeping my shoulders down. And it makes an enormous difference, not only in your physical well-being, because you just feel a lot better when you're not all tensed up, but also your emotional well-being. Before we go on to my next question, which is asking you about the Traeger method, we have a question for you from JDB. If you want to come on camera, let us know and we can bring you on. But I'm going to read it for you first. It says, what are your thoughts on Rolfing polarity therapy, or emotions being trapped in the body in the form of tension? Which kind of sounds like what we were just beginning to address, unless I'm understanding that.
Yes.
Correctly.
Yes. So there's a couple of questions there. Rolfing is a modality that Dr. Ada Rolfing was the founder of it. She's a scientist from Germany. She's long passed, but the Rolfing Institute, which is out of Boulder, Colorado now, talks about fascia, and fascia is the tissue that connects the muscle to the bone. And inside that fascia, there's all that electronic connections that makes the signals coming from our neurological connection into the muscle, and that's how that all happens. I play with fascia quite a bit because structural integration is extremely important. If your frame is out of alignment, it's next to impossible to really be able to get a balanced body. If you're cockeyed, until you get to a place where you're level,
Mhm.
nothing is going to be smooth. Polarities, that's a loaded question as well.
So here's the
Polarities we all feel within. I'm
here's the
sorry.
lady who asked the question.
Hey, how
So
are you?
I'm getting you.
so maybe you can have a little bit of a dialogue, and
Sure.
it's just a lot easier to do that, to answer a question when you're here.
So I was asking about that because I was diagnosed with scoliosis when I was in middle school. It is, well, I think the doctor gave wrong information. He said that coming on my menstrual cycle kind of stopped it from getting worse, and that it would not progress. I later found out that's not necessarily true. Some years ago, I had a chiropractor. I guess he did an x-ray on me. I could tell that it was clear that my pelvis was kind of out of alignment, like it was lopsided. When I walk around, it's not something that's obvious that people notice, but I'm trying to figure out, especially because I have a HSA account through my job, like what route I want to go to like try to offset and correct that stuff. I'm older now and I don't want it to start manifesting into other like health issues and problems.
Great. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but let's look at it from a structural point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is that the skeleton is basically just the frame.
Yeah.
It's our muscles that will shape and contort that frame.
Right.
Okay? If you have a spasm in your lower back on your left side, it's going to start pulling your spine to that side. So the idea of being able to go in there and to relax that muscle that's causing that tension to pull, that's really what you need to focus on. Okay. Now, what's happening? My opening line is that the muscles are dumb. The muscles doesn't have a muscle memory that is going to stay in spasm. There's a signal that's coming from the brain. It could be a trauma incident. It could be an emotional thing. I don't know. But there's something that's happened that caused you to protect yourself. Usually when a muscle goes into a contortion, it's going into some sort of a connection of protection. So something could have happened to you at that period of time. If you were not born with that, and that's something that came on.
He actually said, a chiropractor told me, he said he thought that my scoliosis in particular it's something that happened in utero. He said with the way my spine was curved, he said it looked like it was a more in uterine thing as opposed to something that developed, as I was growing up as a kid.
Right.
Because I never needed a brace or anything. Like people who had it chronically when I was growing up, they would make them like sleeping braces or they would have to wear them all day for it. I never had to do that.
Okay, so what does a sleeping brace do? It basically forms the cast, right? It's trying to move it back into the alignment. But I'll get back to my initial point. What's happening to you is that there is muscles that are pulling your spine in a certain direction that needs to be released. So that muscle tension that you're dealing with, really not much different than a child that has cerebral palsy, that their arm is in a crane position. They can't move their arm like that. It's in a spasm. That's worse than what you have. But what happens is that if you can start to create some movement, they can't do that themselves. But what starts to happen is that through my moving them, I'm sending a signal back up through the nervous system, going back up into the brain, and through neuroplasticity, a new groove is being created with that movement pattern, and that tension or that spasm gets less. And I suspect that that's the same thing that could be helpful for you.
So, I mean, because I've been researching all of these modalities, I mean, what do you think would be better of like, I mean, is there like a better method? I mean, do you do a hybrid of things? Like, I'm trying to get, because I've seen that there are different ways to like fix these issues, but like, I don't necessarily know whether there's something that's better or best or like a hybrid of, doing different things or.
I don't think that anything is a panacea. I do think that you need to investigate methods that make sense to you. You're going to find one, because what Richard has brought out is that the mind and the body in the case of his modality, are
Mhm.
connected.
Mhm.
Now, your mind might be more prone or willing to submit to one discipline or another. There may be more than one that is helpful. There may be some that you use in combination with each other, which
Okay.
actually brings me to my next question to Richard, because, and thank you, JBD. That's a really good question, and it's a really interesting diagnosis. And, you know, until this minute, I never even thought about using this method for somebody with scoliosis. My partner had scoliosis, and as time went on, it became more and more painful for him
Mhm.
and more debilitating. And it would be
Okay.
great
Yeah.
if there was a way, you know, if he knew about this while he was still with us. But Richard, you said that you combine certain methods. Um,
That
so
is
you said
correct.
about different tools in your toolbox. Let's hear, how do you know which tools to combine, or am I understanding that incorrectly?
Well, basically, it's a matter of what, when I start working with somebody, what what's coming out, what's coming forward. I have an 80-year-old woman that I work with who has scoliosis, and
Mhm.
we've been able to do a tremendous amount.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she could barely walk. Now she's standing up. She still has a lot of sway going,
Mhm.
but she's moving so much better. Um, the tools are there based upon what is what the client is able to access.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, when I work with these kids, they're able to deal with a lot of movement, and they're challenged by the challenge of movement. Working with an older person, it's more of getting them into a relaxed position. Again,
Mhm.
you're dealing with this. You're into a
Right.
spasm. How
Yeah.
do I get you to get to be like this? It
Mhm.
can be a very soft and gentle touch. Usually it is. The body likes to feel supported. And when the
Mhm.
body feels supported, it makes moves, it connects, it changes. It's very different than invasive.
Mhm.
Invasive body work. Basically, when somebody goes in there and goes into a massage and somebody's drilling into you with their elbow, what's happening? The first thing that's going on to your body, it's going like, what the hell is this? It
Mhm.
needs to protect itself. So if I'm going to get deep into the fascia, my methodology of doing that is doing it through soft gentleness, where you open up and allow me in. If I just dive into you and try to drill through your muscle into the fascia, all your muscle's doing is resisting me, and all I'm going to do is burn out, and you're going to be
Yeah.
sore.
And you might get popped, because if if somebody tried doing that to me, my left is going to come swinging right over that table,
Well, look, don't have
and
to
I will
worry
not
about
be
that happening with
responsible.
me because I don't even go there.
But what's interesting, though, that you said is that I guess at an advanced stage, it is more difficult because we're also talking about perception. So when you have a perception for a number of years or decades that your body is broken and this is how you must compensate for it, and you've accepted, you
Right.
surrendered to the idea that it's never going to change. Subatomic particles respond to the way they're perceived. So I
Mhm.
guess there needs to be some work in the quantum to be
It's
able to get
it's
somebody.
all in the quantum.
Okay,
It's all in the quantum.
good. Now, the Traeger method,
Mhm.
is this what we're talking about, what the Traeger method is all about?
It's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Dr. Milton Traeger, his Dr. Milton Traeger was a very interesting character. He started off as a boxer. He was an acrobat. He was a person with a body that knew how to use his body. And he discovered that he had the ability to understand the body and work with people to release. He worked with, his claim to fame was polio. He worked with a lot of polio people. And in order to be heard in the Western medical world, he had an amazing repertoire of people that he worked with that were absolutely healed by his work. He felt that in order to be heard, he would have to become a doctor. And at 40 years old, went to Mexico, doesn't even speak Spanish, but went to the Mexican medical school system to get his credentials, got his credentials, went back to work, and basically started talking to the medical world about the work that we do. Unfortunately, the medical world didn't really want to hear about that.
No,
They're in a different space,
oh yeah.
and I'm not here to bash Western medicine,
I'll do
if you're
that.
going to be, if you're, well, let me tell you something. If you need a heart transplant, or if you need some massive invasive surgery, there's nothing better than what we have here for doing that. But the other side of it is that we're missing the point with Ayurvedic medicine and Oriental medicines. You know, the Asian medicines are just amazing, thousands of years old, dealing with meridians and energy zones. They go into energy, and our body is basically all energy. One of my teachers uses the expression, your body is an aqua system. 80% to 90% of your body is a fluid of some sort. So if you think about it, your body is just basically a fluid. It's an aqua system of fluid moving through your body. And the idea here is that if that fluid is not moving, if it's swampy, we get cranky. It just doesn't move well. You want a babbling brook. You want that energy to be flowing through you so that you're basically erect and up and totally focused. And that's what we try to do, is we try to incorporate the different modalities. I've been a yogi for 30 plus years, and you know what? I stopped going to doctors a long time ago. I only go, from do my blood work, and if there's something going on. But I've learned that my body, if I keep my immune system up by good diet, good exercise, and doing the right thing, my body takes care of itself. It's the best doctor there is.
Absolutely. But you just have to partner with it. You have to understand
with
it, and you have to listen to it, because you can't
Yes.
just keep on telling it what to do. You've got to listen to what it's saying you. So where do you practice? Do you visit people in their homes? Do you have an office? Do you have a center? Where exactly is Mind Your Body?
So we have a center. It's in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. We're in a medical building. And myself and my two partners, we basically have our own treatment rooms, and we see people there. Occasionally, I would go to somebody's home, but I don't do that much, because there's, the tables that we use are hydraulic tables. In order to protect myself, I need to have my body mechanics to be absolutely perfect. So the angles that I'm using and my weight, I'm not going to lug a table around, and I'm not going to set it up and be, I need space to work, and I need an environment that I feel safe in, because if I don't feel it, I can't give it. It's extremely, and you started off this whole segment by talking about the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. This work is the connection of three entities. Okay. And most of the change, all the change happens at the subconscious levels. We have three levels. We have a conscious level, which is you and I talking right now, consciously communicating. There's a subconscious level that's happening. Your heart is beating, you're taking in oxygen, your aqua system is moving fluids through your body, your envelope is working. And then there's a superconscious level. We're all connected to a higher force of energy. Okay. And I know you know a lot about that. And that's, intuition. That's the ability to really be able to function together as a society.
Exactly.
The idea of us coming together, when you and I start working, the first thing that has to happen is that I have to be able to connect to you on a subconscious level. I have to feel what's going on inside of you, and you feel what's happening to me. I can't give you something that I don't have.
Right.
If I'm basically in a spasm, there's no way that I'm going to be able to release a spasm.
Okay. JBD, who was just on screen, has another question. Is your center close to public transportation?
It is.
Oh, good. I'm going to put the URL in chat. I'm also going to do it again at the end of the show, but I also have a lot more that I'd like to ask you, because we're all dealing with wrong one. Sorry. Oh God, that's the wrong. God, somehow. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Richard.
Take your time. Breathe. Relax.
Mindyourbody.us, correct?
Yeah, and as far as
Okay.
public transportation,
Mhm.
we're on Pompton Avenue, which is a major bus line to Manhattan. We're about 2 miles from Willowbrook Mall, which is a major. I have clients coming in from New York that literally take the bus to Willowbrook Mall, and then there's a bus that takes them right down Pompton Avenue and stops at our corner.
Now, good, finally got it right. With COVID restrictions, I'm imagining that a lot of people are not coming to your facility. Do you have a percentage that do? And are you comfortable with that as a practitioner?
Well, first of all, in this, to be compliant with the state requirements, we are required to be functioning at about a third capacity. So
Okay.
our protocol in our clinic is that we will only be seeing one patient at a time to avoid people having to stay in the reception area and that sort of thing. So to that question, yes, we've been significantly reduced the number of people that we're seeing. With that being said, the demand for what we're doing has gone up exponentially. There's a
So you're
lot of
finding
people.
that your regular clients are not gun shy about coming in?
Well, we have a pretty good protocol in place.
Right.
There's a questionnaire that we would send. If you were to come into the facility, I would send you a questionnaire that had a bunch of questions about your exposure to COVID and your history with it. And when we come together, first thing that we do is we both take our temperatures and we both take our oxygen level. And, if it's within the guidelines that we feel are safe, then we move on. I wear a mask and I also wear a plastic shield over my face because I am working on top of you. And I want to protect myself. I want to protect my partners. I want to protect you, and I want to protect your family. And that's the way we play.
Can any of your work be done remotely?
Yes. My partner, Madalena, does quite a bit of work remotely. She being a yoga therapist, we converted our yoga studio into a 4-camera shoot.
Oh, wow.
Video studio. And we basically, she works with people, taking them through it. I get involved during the summer when the athletes were being locked down. I was doing something called mentastics, mental gymnastics, movements of moving your body, feeling your body moving. I want to feel range of motion. I want you to feel what's happening here. When I bring my arm across.
You can direct someone on camera, and then you can watch how their body moves, and then you would know if they were. Okay. And what kind of feedback are you getting from this? Is pretty cool. What kind of feedback are you getting from your remote session?
Interestingly enough, it's growing, and it's growing deeper and deeper. I'm beginning to realize that how important movement is. So it's not table work that is as important as what you're doing with your body after you get off the table.
So that allows them to continue their healing between sessions.
Totally.
So it's almost like having physical therapy in the time between one booked session and another. That's amazing.
Exactly.
That's really amazing.
You are the doctor. You are the healer. All I am is the person who's helping you go through that process.
Well, we find that in a lot of institutionalized organizations, whether it's medicine or religion. Religions particularly piss me off with this, because you're told you have no power. You need to go to an intermediary, a priest, a rabbi, a minister, a high priest, or whatever. And every holy book is all about solitude. I was raised Roman Catholic, and I remember that passage in the Bible. And Jesus himself said, "When you need to speak to my Father, find a quiet place in nature and say these words." And that's how we got the Lord's Prayer. The creed of the goddess: "Whenever you have need of me, gather in some secret place, and better it be when the moon is full." Okay. Talking about nature. They didn't say, go to a church, put $50 in the collection plate. You let the priest tell you what to do. Even the act of praying, when you hold your hands in prayer, we're taught to cross our thumbs. Ancient mystics taught us that by directing our power, all of our fingers need to be aligned, including our thumbs. And that's how we project our power. By crossing them, we're retaining it. And I've had so many people that call me for readings, and they're completely bent out of shape. What am I going to do? How could I do it? I'm going to light a candle and hope that it's going to be heard. I'm going to go pray in front of some badly painted plaster saint. Well, now we can get into quantum work, because when you're believing where logic tells you not to, you are creating in the quantum. But a lot of people don't understand that they can go that far. But every holy book from any religion, any organized religion, says the same thing. We are made in the image of the Creator, and it's about damn time we started acting like it.
That's
Because
exactly
if I
right.
were God and somebody was bothering me with some petty bullshit, excuse me, I would like, there he is again. Now I'm going to break his legs. You know, people, you know, we are given this ability to heal others, to heal ourselves.
Yes.
But we are so trained by institutions
Yes.
who pretty much are in it for their own game. I mean, no wonder Western medicine doesn't exactly cotton to what you're doing, because they're not able to charge exorbitant fees and maybe not even get the same quality results. So
You're not going to find a doctor that's going to spend 90 minutes working with you.
no, you're not. They have 12, actually. Statistically, they're supposed to see a person every 12 minutes. And I told my doctor, I says, you know, 79% of statistics are made up right on the spot. And it took him a minute to get my sarcasm, because I just gave him statistics that I made up. It's like, look, you need to hang with me a little longer than 12 minutes today. There's some crazy stuff going on. Let's get to the bottom of it.
But you know, you bring a very good point together. So the first thing that happened with us with COVID was that, well, actually a couple of things. Number one, we teach this modality, and we literally that March, that weekend, we had just finished a class, and you know, we're ready to go into the the next class next month, and nothing. Everything is shut down. What we had to do was we had to make sure our credentials were clean. We were able to get approval that our class could be taught online, which with COVID, everything started to move in that direction. So we started teaching online.
Well, here I am. Thank God. I mean, I love
exactly.
This.
So, you know, the studio became such an important tool. Madalena does meditation in the corporate environment. She works with clients like ADP and Prudential, and she goes in and works with the C-suite and basically helps them meditate several times a week. That was transmitted over to an online capability. And meditation is something that is like right now, that's probably the most powerful tool that anybody could use to help get their life back on track.
Absolutely.
Get that monkey that's screaming in your brain, go in all kinds of crazy directions to quiet down. To your point, go into nature and write the Lord's Prayer. Connect.
Or make your own Lord's Prayer.
Exactly.
I give myself 2 hours every Sunday. That's why they are so special for me. I cannot, from 2 to 4, I don't care what the temperature is. I live a block and a half from the Hudson River. It is amazing. I found a spot in the low 90s where there's not even a fence. It's just grass, rocks, water. That's where I go, and I have these big old trees behind me. And so during the week when I'm starting to get bent out of shape about something, it just goes on my Sunday list. And usually by the time Sunday comes, I will have a lot of things crossed off. And then I have new drama to deal with, because, you know, I can be a bit of a drama queen every now and then. But when I'm there, what I do is I just focus on the challenge, and then I shut up and I listen. And my own thoughts, I connect with the higher energy, and my own thoughts inform me as to the way I need to deal with this. And it's never wrong. It is always on the money. So we have to assume our own power, which is a strange thing for people to get used to, because we've been, oh God, for generations, we've been browbeaten to believe that we mean nothing without some official person doing something for us. We are much more powerful than we know, but we have to accept that, which means that we have to be accountable. And you're going to find a lot of people doing a lot less stupid things when they realize that they have been accountable all along. They're accountable for their ignoring their own ability to solve these problems, to meet these challenges. And it's people like you who are bringing it to the forefront, because you're fusing what to most people will feel very comfortable, very familiar, very Western maybe, and it's an approach. You have a facility, You present yourself professionally. You have tools. You have emotional tools and mental tools for them to work with. But you also have physical tools, and you have trained a trained modality that you employ that is not unfamiliar. But what you're doing is you're actually little by little getting them to empower themselves, and that is spectacular.
That is healing.
So,
That is
where do
healing.
you see the future of Mind Your Body? Is it going to become more and more virtual as time goes on?
Well, this year I'm doing a lot of I'm doing a lot of teaching, and I'm also doing a lot of conferences.
Okay.
Madeleine and I are heading off to Paris in September. At the University of Paris, we're speaking to the Movement Is conference. It's
Mhm.
a conference of neurosurgeons, physical therapists, scientists, talking about the work. I've built a group of case studies around the individual athletes that I've worked with, and I've basically been able to document the fact that you can change, particularly cerebral palsy, because that's the one that everybody says you can't do anything with. And I give it to me. I want it. Give it to me. Lay it on me.
I went to your website. I saw your testimonials. You have kids that are being signed up for national teams.
Oh, I have people that are playing on national teams. I
Yeah.
have people that are gold medal. Well, one gold medalist and a bronze medalist, and yeah, I have medalists that I work with.
So you hear that, everybody? Mind your body. Get a hold of Mr. Mack. Go to
Thank you, Anthony.
mindyourbody.us. Do you have anything, because we do have to bring another guest on, do you have anything that you'd like to leave our audience with before you leave? And I would love to invite you to come back in the future if you're okay with that.
I would love to come back. I always enjoy talking to you, Anthony.
Good.
I would just simply say this. Look, just stay safe, be well, keep yourself. This is very serious, this pandemic that we're in, and you've got to respect it. And keep your immune system up. That's the most important thing that's going to help you. And forgive yourself. The bottom line is that if you're going to make any changes, it's going to have to start with you accepting and forgiving. And forgiving starts within.
Yeah, and you're going right back to what I opened with. I don't entirely approve of everything I ever said, done, or been, but I have to accept it all because it was a reality. And forgiveness, yeah, okay, nobody's perfect, and this is what we get to work with. And that is so empowering because it takes away the heebie-jeebies that we all get. Am I practiced enough? Am I good enough? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I strong enough? Everyone, please go to mindyourbody.us. Check out what they have to offer. Make an appointment. Make a call.
Thank you.
Connect with these people. Rich, thank you so much. And now we have Eva Biernat, who is going. You think you were dazzled already? Don't you just get your second win because here comes more. Hi, Eva. Thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you do?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. As you can tell, I was not born in Poland. I think I need my glasses on. I was not born here. I was born in Poland and started my healing journey there. Arriving in America, I started with yoga, nutrition, massage therapy, and everything grew into a beautiful practice that I had for almost 20 years. First in Montclair and then in Verona, New Jersey, where I'm at right now.
When you got here, you had to get certified in those modalities? You had to be.
Of course, yes. Yes, so I had to go to school to get my certifications.
Right. Were you interested in that when you were in Poland? Was this your calling?
My mom was a nurse.
Oh, okay. So then that's where the background.
Was that my calling? Okay. Yes. My mom was a nurse, and I always witnessed her helping other people. So in America, actually, yoga found me.
Wow.
I met my yoga teacher, and through that, I started nutrition or interest in nutrition, started taking classes, got fascinated with the whole movement, body-mind connection, dive into cleansing, became vegan. used to do sprouting and dehydrated food. So I was really hardcore as far as
Mhm.
changing how I eat and how I live, also how I think.
How big of an adjustment was that for you? Because it sounds like you just kind of learned it and then like went right into it. Did your body go into shock when you started changing your eating
Yes,
habits? And
yes. I
tell us.
started cleansing. I
Hmm.
gave up meat.
Hmm.
I started doing some intestinal cleansing with
Hmm.
juicing,
Hmm.
and that actually made me feel ill. I became sick, fever, bloated abdomen,
Wow.
intestinal discomfort.
Hmm.
And my yoga teacher sent me to Hippocrates, the
Hmm.
Hippocrates Institute in West
Hmm.
Palm Beach,
Hmm.
where I actually received my first colonic, colon hydrotherapy,
Okay.
and that completely changed my life.
Oh, wow.
So that was an opening for me to actually learn colonics and become certified colon hydrotherapist.
And that's what you're doing. That's one of the things that you're doing, and that's how you started your business in America. So tell us a little bit about the benefits of it.
That's
Why
correct.
would someone consider it? What does it do for you that nothing else can?
Okay. Well, what does colonic do? Colonic actually gently removes the fecal matter from the colon
Hmm.
by using purified water.
Hmm.
And nowadays, people are fascinated with doing coffee enemas, which are also very, very beneficial. So, why do we do colonics? I often hear people saying we were made perfectly by God and we should function as we were created. And I agree with that.
Hmm.
But because of the food we eat, the environment,
Yep.
the medications, the
Mhm.
lifestyle, the
Preservatives,
colon often
quality of
needs
food. Yeah. God didn't give you
exactly
those things. Yeah.
the colon. Yes, the colon needs a little bit of help.
Hmm.
And so I often give an example of a sink. You can
Hmm.
keep on putting Drano into the sink
Hmm.
and you will unclog it, but eventually you do need a plumber to open it from underneath
Hmm.
and let the water flow. And that's really what we do with colonic.
And how often, you know, give us, if somebody comes to you and they're in terrible shape, how many visits would they need? And then ultimately, where do you bring them? Like, what is the most difficult start point, and what is your ultimate goal? How often would they need to come for colonics in the course of a year?
Um, See, the goal is for the body to have a bowel movement, at least
Hmm.
one healthy bowel movement
Hmm.
a day. That's a minimum.
Okay.
So I always talk to people about their diet, what they eat. We always discuss nutrition during the session to
Hmm.
see what can we add, but also what can we eliminate.
Hmm.
Often we just want to put things into our system, but also what can we just avoid, completely
Okay.
eliminate from our diet. Um, Cleansing seasonally is beneficial, so
Okay.
3 to 4 times a year,
Hmm.
that could work.
In a healthy body.
Um, People,
And
yes.
okay.
Um, pe- Go ahead, please.
No, no,
I'm
that's
sorry.
no.
um, People sometimes do a cleanse of, let's say, they decide to fast
Hmm.
or do a juice cleanse.
Hmm.
Then we will do 3 colonics in a row. For
Okay.
example, if there is a water fasting or juice fasting, when there is no solid food introduced, then
Hmm.
we can do 3 colonics.
Okay.
1 colonic a week. It's very individual, Anthony,
Hmm.
to give you an
Hmm.
honest answer,
Right.
because it depends on their lifestyle and their willingness to change.
Hmm. Right. They have to commit to getting to wellness, to getting better.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So that must be
exactly.
kind of
Because
difficult.
it's never advertised really for weight loss, but
Mhm.
it assists the body in evacuation.
Right.
So what would you feel when we finish? You will definitely feel emptier. You will
Hmm.
feel less bloated. You will
Hmm.
feel energized. And there is some medical doctors who do send their patients for colonics also,
Okay.
even though it's not widely recognized by medicine.
Right, because it takes too much away from them. I'm down on organized anything, but I do understand what you're saying. But you do get referrals from medical doctors, and
Yes.
that's interesting. What about
Yes.
prep for like a colonoscopy? Can someone come for colonics instead of drinking that horrible stuff and wishing they were dead for 2 days?
Excellent point. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I do have medical doctors who will send their patients in preparation for colonoscopy, and then we do one colonic for 3 days. So
Okay.
within
You
3
want a
or
day?
4 days, it depends on individual.
Gotcha.
And they still have to keep up with the liquid diet, but they will do colonics rather than drinking the medicine.
Right. Okay. Because I can usually get like a day and a half, and then I just start vomiting, and it's like, I may have to give you a call next time
It happens, yes.
the next time my doctor
Yes.
browbeats me into agreeing to go for a colonoscopy. Because I usually tell him, it's like, is the doctor gonna, is the guy gonna have $50 in the other hand? Because this is like this is a big deal for me. Now I should let everybody know that I had visited you one time. You have a whole new thing that you've been doing besides lymphatic massage and everything else. But you started working with Reconnective Therapy, which I think is fascinating. And why don't you tell us what it is? Because I can imagine that your client traffic must have slowed because of COVID. So you started doing Reconnective Therapy. Please explain what it is, because it is unbelievable.
Gladly, of course. Reconnective healing is an energy work, and it's said that it has all the other modalities of energy healing underneath or within it.
Okay.
It was presented. I don't even know what word to use. It was gifted to Dr. Eric Pearl, who is a chiropractor in LA.
Okay.
And during his chiropractic work, the healing was happening through his hands without even him intended to heal anyone.
Oh, wow.
So just by him, not even touching a person, but just by placing his hands above the body, one would experience different healing sessions. So I was really attracted to that kind of energy work. And the interesting thing is that we all have the energy. The energy is within us. We are energy.
Right.
So anyone can do it. All you have to do is put your hands, if you like to try it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all can just.
What should I do? I'm ready to try.
Okay, so you have your hands facing each other. Have them face each other.
Okay.
Start very close to each other and slowly start recognizing, what do you feel?
Oh, wow.
Is there heat?
I'm feeling almost like a tingling. There's like an electrical. It feels like there's something almost that I could touch in there. It feels alive.
Yes, like something in between your hands.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
and then you can
a beach ball or something. Is it similar to Reiki?
Yes.
Okay.
No, well, it's energy, so everything is energy. It's similar to Reiki, but it's not, because with reconnective healing, you basically don't place your hands on a person directly, so you can do it from a distance.
I have to share the session that you gave me when you were studying for your certification. Eva had me come into her office because I'm her guinea pig. And she said, lie on the table. She was about 6 feet, 10 feet behind me. And she said, let me know when you start to feel a sensation in your body and where you're feeling it. And I thought, okay, do I make something up? I wasn't expecting to feel anything, because I've had Reiki, and depending on the practitioner, either it worked or, either it was effective or it wasn't. And Reiki, you have to hold your hands either on the body or above the body over each individual chakra. You have to actually hold your hands to give and receive energy from a specific chakra. Eva was behind me. I don't know where the hell she was. all I know is that suddenly I felt something going on in my stomach, and then I felt something going on in my chest. And as I'm feeling these things, she's telling me, you've got some gastrointestinal stuff going on there. And then she mentioned my breathing, and then probably gave me shit for smoking, because she always does, and I'm probably never going to stop. But it was just amazing to me that I was actually feeling sensations. It was a combination. It felt almost like what music makes you feel like on a dance floor. There was a vibration. It was just incredible. And everything, every step of the way. And that, to me, is what separates it from other energy healing modalities like Reiki or crystal healing. Nothing needs to be placed on the body. You don't even have to be standing over the person, working over the area of their body that you're working. You were way in the back of your office, in the back of the room. It was one big room. You were nowhere near me, and you were able to do the same thing that a really good Reiki practitioner got me to feel. So that is what the way that I can explain the difference between reconnective healing and Reiki. Now, what about remotely? Can you do it remotely?
We certainly can. Um, I just want to go back to working with someone individually.
Mm-hmm.
The body always tells us what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute you open yourself to
Mm-hmm.
be the vessel, since
Okay.
I'm not doing anything, I'm just the vessel of the energy. Either there is blinking of the eyelids, the
Okay.
eyes are blinking, or there is involuntary movement of the eyes,
Was that happening with
or
me
you see,
when you were
yes,
work? Yeah,
or
because I'm always rolling them, but this was different.
exactly, that was different.
I was always yelling at me for rolling my. Stop rolling your eyes.
I can see them already.
Mm-hmm. So when you're
Or
working, you start to see
what else
involuntary
happens
movement. Mm-hmm.
when the body is receiving the energy? This is what they
Uh-huh.
say. There is signals. So either your toes are
Mm-hmm.
starting playing like, looks like you're playing piano and you have
Wow.
no control over it. Basically, one's toes are just moving, or there is involuntary movement of the
Mm-hmm.
eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, the farther away you go, the farther away you are, the
Mm-hmm.
stronger the energy becomes. It's
Oh,
the most
wow.
beautiful thing. The strength within the energy separates you with the distance. It
Do you know
becomes
why?
very powerful.
Do you know why that happens? Or is it just something that's
It tells us
peculiar to
that
the modality? Yeah.
perhaps this is what happens. It tells us that we are just there. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
where you are. If your
Mm-hmm.
intention is pure and you're doing it, that's why the distance healing or the remote healing right now,
Mm-hmm.
where all you need to know is that you're going to work on someone. You could have a picture of this person
Mm-hmm.
or just a description
Mm-hmm.
or an animal, of course. Let's don't
Right.
forget about animals.
Right.
We can
Yeah.
work on animals
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do is there is someone that I'm gonna work on from Poland because
Mm-hmm.
that's where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have is my massage table set up
Mm-hmm.
and an hour of my time, for example,
Okay.
and I'm just there. And what helps me, especially on the beginning, when I
Mm-hmm.
just got into this work, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to kind of know what I'm doing. So I would walk around the table
Mm-hmm.
and do my
Right.
dance.
Yeah. Yeah. And observe.
And it's just amazing because we all can do it. We all have it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you work remotely, does the person have to connect with you? Do you have to have them like in a Zoom meeting, or how does that work? If
We can
someone
do
went to
Zoom. Well,
okay, could you do something now if somebody in the audience wants to try?
of course.
Okay,
Yes,
anybody out there
yes, you
feeling
can
game? Who
certainly
wants to
try.
come on screen and do this? We'll give them a minute to answer. And while we're waiting for a volunteer
Okay.
from our audience, I do have a question for you from Mariana Leah, who said, what center did you mention in West Palm Beach that you attended? Where did you?
Hippocrates. I'm sorry.
Hippocrates?
My
Okay.
English.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. Thomas just said he wants to come on stage for a healing. So we're going to get him up here.
Okay.
And you're going to do it.
Okay.
I can't
Let's
wait.
do it.
I cannot wait.
Okay.
This is like so awesome. This is so awesome. You're just amazing. This is so exciting to know that there's something out there that's different. And somebody else wants to know if you can do a group virtual healing. Can you do a group healing?
I don't think so. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I just don't know.
Mediumship. I mean, I sit medium, but I can only work with one person at a time. There are people that are called platform mediums that can walk into a room full of people. It's a whole different technique. I cannot do that, mainly because I don't want to. And here is Thomas Hargrove.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Thomas.
You ready to be healed?
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's don't go too far. Let's don't give false hopes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Thomas. So I'm just gonna take a couple minutes, and you can just relax, have your eyes closed, and I'm just gonna do what I do. Okay.
Looking at Tom's eyes, I want to see if anything's going on. You just knocked him off screen.
Thank you.
You just made him disappear. Can you do that to my neighbor? Okay. I wanted to ask questions while you were doing it, but I didn't know if that would be counterproductive or not. Could you tell us from your end, what did you experience?
Questions to me?
Yes. What did you experience from your end?
You're asking me?
Yes.
So I have to reverse how he was sitting. So on his, I felt a little bit of a tightness and pressure on his. I have to reverse in my head how I'm seeing him. In his left, this side, I felt a little bit of pressure and tightness, and this area was more open and loose.
Okay. Because I know Scott just asked.
It was too short of a time for me.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Oh, there you are. Tom, talk to him. Can you hear us or see us? Because you're kind of, I don't know if you're frozen on screen. What was your experience?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Yeah, your cameras are frozen.
I can
But
hear you.
if you
Yes.
can hear me, I
Uh,
could actually speak on what I
Yes,
experienced.
yes.
Okay. Um, First thing I felt was a sensation in my lower abdomen area, and then it moved over to my spleen, and then I felt the coolness of
oh wow.
magnetic energy,
Mhm.
more blissful, and it's still
Mhm.
running like a menthol type, running down my back, into my legs, expanding, and then my fingers, and at some point the fingers started to have visceral
Mhm.
responses. It was starting to
Now,
twitch
did
slightly.
you hear what Eva said she felt when she was working on you? Okay.
I couldn't hear
You
her
want to repeat
sound.
what you felt,
So
Eva?
I felt tightness. Yes, I felt tightness in your head area on the left side, and much of a loose energy flowing onto the right area of your body.
Does that have anything to do with anything that you're
See,
aware of? Go ahead. Sorry. Mhm.
Not that I know of. I mean,
You
other
can
than
be
I'm
a
a
pain
pain
in the
in the
neck.
neck
I know
sometimes.
you.
so that's
Mm-hmm.
but see, I'm just a vessel. So you there. So anyone, you all can do it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you can just put your intention and hold your hand, and by feeding the energy, and then just expand, and the energy does what it's supposed to do.
Then the energy just connects, and
The,
then it tells you what's going on.
what Eric said,
Mm-hmm.
yes, what Eric said, what Eric Pearl said is the healing happens not when you expect, but the healing happens to the areas that you didn't even know it
Oh
needed the
wow.
healing. So the beauty of it is that you may expect for your pain to go away
Mm-hmm.
in your liver,
Mm-hmm.
but your spine is going to feel so much better.
Oh wow.
It's the area where you didn't even
Mhm.
knew that you needed help. So that's the beauty of it. That's what I love about that.
I have another question for you. It's from Mariana Leah, who may join us on screen if she likes. She's delightful. And thank you, Thomas. I appreciate you
Okay.
doing that, and thank you for letting us know that
Yes,
what you
thank you,
were able to
Thomas. Thank you.
experience. Mariana wants to know, would you work with someone who has nuclear material in their bloodstream from Chernobyl? Is that
Interesting.
something that
I
you
was in
can?
Poland when Chernobyl happened.
Okay.
I would try. I mean, it's of course there is no discrimination to work with anyone. It's once again, I am just the vessel. So whatever happens, it's not me doing it.
Mhm. Okay. If Mariana is still here and you'd like to come on screen, type something in text so we know we can bring up, and maybe you can have a conversation with Eva. Oh, good. Scott's bringing her on. So this will be interesting because
Okay.
this is a fascinating story. And you're going to like Mariana. She's delightful. She's a very sweet person.
Wow.
So if people want to get a hold of you, I'm going to put your web information on later, but you can do this with them by phone
Thank you.
or Zoom, or how do you prefer to
Yes,
do it?
we can Zoom, or even, before Zoom, we would
Mhm.
just call.
Mhm.
I want a session, and I said, okay, between this time and this time, and I would just ask, be home or be somewhere that
Mhm.
you can
Now, do you
relax.
usually call them to
And
remind them at that time? Do you call them like a half hour ahead of time and say, "Yo, get
I
into"?
would call, yes,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
sure, yes,
Yeah,
yes, try to relax.
yeah.
Time
And
to relax.
how many people? Mariana said that she's having camera issues. I hope she can work on them. Um, how many? Do most
Okay.
people prefer Zoom or phone, or just trust you to do it, and then you have to trust them to? Did they have to be quiet while this is going on? Do they have to, or can they just be doing
See,
their regular work? I mean, do they have
bef-
to be still while you're at the time that you're working
before
on it?
Yes. So before pandemic, obviously, I loved when people would come to the office
Uh-huh.
because there's a whole,
Yeah.
integration of me and the
Mhm.
person, and
Mhm.
sharing,
Mhm.
experiences.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but just being at home, for someone to being at home, not driving, somewhere that they can receive, see that they are aware, or there is maybe something going on. Like Thomas, he was in a
Mhm.
moment and
Mhm.
he could feel.
Mhm.
See, often what happens, we receive so many great gifts, so much
Mhm.
healing, yet we don't know about it because we're not aware, because we're not here, we're not inside, we're not in
We've,
our body.
we've also been
So
trained to believe that
giving
we don't. We've been trained by society and everybody to believe
true,
that we don't have any
true,
ability. Right. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
exactly.
Please do
I
continue.
mean, no, of course, please.
No, I'm waiting for
I mean,
you.
who am I? I'm no different than anybody else. I'm no different. Who am I? It was hard for me at the beginning to even acknowledge that
Mhm.
that I have it, but we all
Mhm.
have it. It's all you have to do is just put your hands together and you can do it on your own.
Mhm.
Play with your animals. Just they are so receptive. It's the
Mhm.
most beautiful thing. Animals are so receptive to energy. So the
Mhm.
minute you start gently just raising your hands and doing the movement, the magic happens right there.
Mhm.
And often we just need a little reminder. So
Yeah.
working on Zoom or just telephone and say, I want a
Mhm.
session, and I say, okay, between this time I need an hour or half an hour, and it happens.
Wow. Okay. And have you found that that modality is picking up for you? Are you getting more and more people looking for reconnective now that COVID is here and
I
everybody's so
am
sequestered?
getting people, yes, because people need healing, people need energy, people need lightness, people need to
Mhm.
feel relaxed, people need to feel loved, people need to feel that there is something greater than us. There is
Mhm.
something above us. So
Absolutely.
often we need to be reminded of it. And,
Mhm.
many emotions, many breakthroughs happen during the healing, any kind
Mhm.
of healing. People cry, people get
Mhm.
angry, people become sad, people become joyous, their body mechanic changes,
Mhm.
they can breathe better. I mean, I'm also a yoga teacher, so this modality, all of it comes together.
Mhm.
But reconnective healing is just such a jewel. I feel
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
such a
And
such a gift.
it's only now being recognized on a grander scale. Apparently, you can also make it rain in Scottsdale, Arizona, because Melee said, I thought I would share. As soon as she started working on Thomas, it started thundering and lightning here in Scottsdale, Arizona. It rarely rains. Powerful. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
I love it.
Okay. Hi, Mariana. What's up?
Hi.
Hi, I'm actually I'm on the way back from Boston to New York, so that's why I'm having a little
Oh.
bit of internet
Okay.
signal problem.
Mhm.
Good to see you guys. Yeah, so I
Hi,
wanted to
Mariana.
hi, I wanted to say that I'm honored to even see that you're doing this work. It's amazing work. It really is, and I'm actually part Polish through my grandfather, so it's amazing.
Dzień
And it's
dobry.
a Right, dzień dobry, so what I wanted to ask you was that I was 3 when Chernobyl happened, and a lot of my health issues come from that, especially
Wow.
gastrointestinal, like Crohn's, and I was a brain aneurysm survivor as well.
Wow.
So I just wanted to ask, do you do that kind of work, especially so because we do have a lot of clients here in New York that would love to do that, especially since you do speak their language and be amazing. So that would be
I want to say yes, Mariana, because it's gonna sound corny, but I'm not the doer. So basically, the energy doesn't pick if it's physical, emotional, mental. It just doesn't pick. It doesn't pick which one is it. It just goes. So if that's gonna be the intention, if that's gonna be the focus of the energy that day, who knows what's gonna happen? So it just goes with love, and the energy and healing just goes. I mean, you can read the story about Eric Pearl and his own personal story, how the energy found him, started coming through him, and people started experiencing different healing during his chiropractor adjustments. That was just really beautiful. So that's what really fascinated me and pulled me into this, and I received my own healing um, throughout the sessions, being there at the training.
Oh, that's so wonderful. We
Wow,
should do a show like that, like quantum mixes reconnective therapy.
right?
That's an idea.
Energy. I
Eva,
mean, it's so powerful.
would you be willing to do that, Eva? come on and do a
Of
show?
course, with pleasure.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool.
Yes, I would
Okay,
love it. Of
excellent.
Well,
course,
I
I would love
myself,
it.
just to let you guys know, I myself am a vector healer, quantum vector healer, level 3. And so I do spiritual type, medical also, and mediumship together with like, and we do meditation and we do light therapy through going into kind of like hypnotic state and others. And so that would be awesome to do that kind of quantum work together with that reconnected
Wow.
therapy. I think it would mix very well together. Absolutely.
Wow, that sounds like
Yeah.
a really great idea for a great show. Oh my goodness.
Wow, Mariana.
So,
Mariana, may I ask you, so
Sure.
where did you live when Chernobyl happened? Were you in Russia or Ukraine? Where were you?
I was in Kiev. I was 800 miles away.
Yeah. Okay.
And we were at the parade 4 days later, where the first radioactive wave hit the city. And I was then considered one out of 4 kids to be sick, scientifically and statistically. And here in New York, in Brooklyn, we actually did a study of 400 people, and they found what I had in my blood. So anybody that has gone through something like a nuclear reactor accident in 1986 would have cesium, titanium in their blood, would have like heavy chemicals, and then would be prone to allergies of like magnesium and different types of things. So in like when I turned vegan also for a period of time and I stopped eating meat, I also became very sick. I noticed that just like you, that like the cleansing of the body was really intense. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for answering my
Absolutely.
question. It touches my heart because I was in Poland when Chernobyl happened, southeast. So, we all had to, they gave us the iodine, but that was days after, everything was,
Yeah.
Politics, everything was pushed on, on a back burner.
mhm.
Yeah. Maybe it's an idea for us to start doing that kind of work, because there would be millions of people that would be throughout the world that would be really beneficial to.
That would definitely benefit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So-
agree.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mariana. And actually,
Thank you,
Mariana and
Mariana.
I are going to be doing the show together on mediumship soon.
Yes.
So
Oh.
we're going to be having some fun with that. You just keep an eye on the calendar. So Eva, if somebody that's listening tonight wanted to get a hold of you, I'm going to put your web address, your URL in chat. It's
Thank you.
noblehealthandwellbeing.com. What happens? They go to your site. They
can email me. There is information on the services that I do, and they can email me. And as I said, I do Zoom or also in person. There are some restrictions, like Richard mentioned, certain amount of people and whatnot, but everything is safe and clean and
they can just go to noblehealthandwellbeing.com. Do you have a phone number there too? Do you prefer calls or emails? How do you like to be?
Emails are great.
And you have a facility of your own that you work out of?
Yes, I was in Montclair actually on Valley Road for that's when I started doing colonics and massage, probably for 17 years, and then we moved to Verona 3 years ago. So it's really only 3 minutes from my old office. So it's on the border of Montclair and Verona.
Okay, Thomas just said you're in Verona, and yes, Thomas.
Yes.
And also, when we were prepping on the phone, you mentioned that you might be expanding.
Yeah, so there is a chance that I will be doing colonics in another facility for a healing center where there is acupuncture and physical therapy.
Okay.
It's in Bergen County. It's in Cliff. Oh, I forgot the name.
Cliffside
it's
Park?
No, it's in Englewood Cliffs. I'm sorry, Englewood Cliffs.
That's Bergen County. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, great. Sarah, who just said, Eric and I will be in touch. Great to see you.
Hi, Sarah.
So that's good. And Thomas, if you're still in chat, because I think you are, because you were typing. Do you live in Verona? Because you said he wanted to know if you were in Verona.
Yeah.
Okay.
15 Bloomfield Avenue. It's on the main.
Say that again. What's the address?
May I?
Yes.
Okay. 15 because of my English. Bloomfield Avenue, Verona, Suite 4.
Okay. So they can get a hold of you through your website and then arrange an appointment if they want to come see you there, or arrange a remote
Exactly.
appointment if they'd like to do
Yes.
that. That's amazing. I can't thank you enough. I would love to have you on again.
Ooh, who's the visitor?
Yeah, that's who is that? Oh, that's Rudy. That's the crazy one, the one that makes me look sane. That's why I like keeping him around, because
Rudy.
compared to him, I'm like in pretty good shape. So people can come see you in your office, or they can work with you remotely.
Yes, certainly.
And I would love for you
I
to
would
come
love
on, because I
that.
know that do you teach yoga as well, or?
Yes, I used to teach yoga. Then all I did was just practice yoga. So I do teaching, and right now it's really teaching Zoom. I just do Zoom one-on-one. I do not do, I don't have the facility. My office is, I can have 2 people. So I do just
So when you
small.
do Zoom, do you do it from your home in a larger space or in your
In
office?
the office. I do it from the office, yes.
Okay.
I
So
could do it from home, but so far I've been just doing from my office.
And I know that you're also certified in hot yoga too, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And
hot yoga is really, I love hot yoga, because going back to what Richard was saying, how the body opens up, you have, the gentle touch. So with the heat opens up.
I'm sorry, he's done something. I don't know where he went. I just felt this big wind near my legs. So the heat. Sorry about that. He's a little nuts, and I got to keep an eye on him. So it's good to know that you do these things remotely. You might want to consider, you could teach a class, maybe through Esoteric New York. I can connect you with Scott, and maybe you might want to do something on a regular basis and bring yoga training to our little community here. We're an amazing community. Scott thinks it would be great. And so do I. So what I'll do is I will give him your. Is it okay that I give him your number?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
With pleasure.
And then
yes.
And I will put your URL here again, and everybody can click on it and go there and bookmark it and make an appointment to have a conversation or a consultation.
Wonderful.
About anything. You see all the modalities that she does. But I didn't see Reconnective on your website. Is it there?
Oh, it's not? I'm not sure.
I didn't see it, but
that
doesn't mean anything.
Okay, I will look. I will make sure it's there.
Right, because I think
it's very important.
Yeah, and that's something that I think would appeal to a lot of people, because a lot of people are terrified to leave their own house, let alone go to an office. And this is something you just proved. I mean, it's so cool that you did a live session in front of everybody.
Thank you.
And he confirmed, he validated what you did. So, and Scott in chat said he could feel the energy while you were working.
See, so it's not me. So what I'm saying is, it just goes.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it. I would need to come to you, and I would love to come to you to have some of that work done. And then we can discuss. So if somebody has a specific ailment or complaint, would you be able to work on that with Reconnective?
Well, I want to say, I have to say, I don't know, because the truth is that I really am just the doer. So rather than having expectation and then feeling disappointed, yet maybe your migraines are gone that you've been having for 10 years, but you don't think about it because you're coming for a toothache or pain in your neck.
Okay.
So just to be honest, I want to say, I don't know.
Because you felt things in my body when you were working on me.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And I did have issues. I had GI issues at that time, and I did have a respiratory drama going on, which I always do. But I was really kind of surprised that you just really pinpointed it. And what was really cool is you were so far behind me, because remember I told you don't move or I'll cut you? And then I got up and I looked, and you were way in the back. It's like, damn, girl. That's some reach you've got. So I was very, very impressed. And you were just getting your certification, and I'm so excited, because that was more than a year ago. It was a couple of years ago.
Well, how long? Years ago.
Yeah. Because you've been out of that building now for how long?
For 3 years.
So it's been at least 3 or 4 years since you've done it. And I am so excited that you continued and that you followed through and you've built it into your repertoire because you can help so many people. And Sarah wants to know, can you help kids with autism, help them find calmness?
The energy goes
Okay,
where
energy goes where it's needed.
when it's needed. That's really what I want to say.
Yeah.
That's the mantra of it. That as long as the pure intention and the energy goes, I'm not directing it, because how can I direct it?
No,
It
you're
just
basically
goes.
a conduit where it's
And then
coming
what I
into you
feel,
and then
if I
directed toward
feel,
your intention. Yeah.
when I feel tingling, when I feel the heat, when I feel the coldness, it's a signal that either I stay or I go farther or I
Okay.
come back.
So you
So
learn
these are
to
little,
interpret a symbolic
yes,
language. Oh
yes.
wow, that's a lot like it's a lot like sitting medium. What can I ask what you charge for a session?
So the session is 100 for 1 hour.
Okay. So you know what? Take $100 and find out if it works. You know, speaking to, because Sarah has a son
We
with
can do
autism.
$50. We can do $50 for half an hour. So it's half an hour or 1 hour.
Yeah, but
Longer
you're
than
not
our
thousands of
sessions.
dollars an hour. Which what
No,
I'm saying is
no,
you're
of
very
course not.
affordable, which makes you accessible.
Yes.
So, you know, if
Yes.
somebody wants to see if they have a particular condition that can respond to reconnective healing, they can spend $50 or $100, and if it doesn't heal what they want, they're going to find something else healed. And
Yes.
John says, besides energy, what else are you connecting with, to or with? I think, well, you can explain it because I think we just talked about that Eva, it sounds to me, and tell me if I'm getting this right, Eva, you are sort of in between the source of the energy and the person receiving it. So you're sort of like a conduit.
Yes.
So what else are you connecting to or with? All right, so I think that's about it, because you have to know that you have a person. You said you need a photo of them or live on Zoom.
Some kind of description, or
Okay.
somebody say, okay, this is a female. In my mind, that I know that I'm
Okay.
working
So
on
basically,
somebody.
you have to have an objective in your mind. So that's good.
Just for
So,
me,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So Sarah says, thank you for the information. John finds it fascinating.
It is.
It is, and
It's
I'm so
wonderful.
glad that
It's wonderful.
you took the time to come on our show and
Thank you.
put
I
up
am
with
very
my
honored,
craziness.
Anthony. Very honored that you
Me
invited
too.
me, and thank you everyone. And I'm sorry if you couldn't understand my English
You were
at times,
fine. You were
but
perfect. And I'm going to say namaste,
namaste.
Eva. Eva and I have a private joke about namaste,
Yes.
and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to
No.
embarrass her.
No.
But thank you so much. And Lynn Pacifico says she loved both guests. Well done. Thank you, Lynn. I have
Thank you,
amazing guests.
Lynn. Yes,
All I
thank you.
am is the paint on the wall. Amazing
Thank you
guests who
so
have
much.
amazing talent, and thank you. So we're about to sign off. I can't believe that we're almost at an hour and a half. I do have a couple of announcements to make as soon as I find. Okay, so now that you know, for new people, now that you know we're here, go to esoteric.nyc, go to the events page. This coming Tuesday, we have Tantric Tuesdays, where the goddess Charmaine is going to do sex and spirit unification, and it is clothing optional. And she was clothing optional before COVID made Jeffrey Toobin clothing optional, and me. If I stood up right now, you'd see what I'm talking about. But it's a very interesting show. It's going to be on Tuesdays. I don't know if it's every week or twice a month. On Wednesday, that's on Tuesday the 27th. Wednesday the 28th, we have a wonderful practitioner, Meher, with her partner, Jackie Korth, who's, it's Lightworker Wednesday. She's going to do a full moon meditation. Thursday, always the Enchanted Cafe or the Witching Hour with Lady Rhea, the New York Witch Queen of New York City. I would like to say thank you for coming. I can't wait for you to meet my guests next week, but we're out of time, so you're going to have to wait and see who they are and what our topic is. But thank you all for coming. I love you all. I can't wait to see you again. And what a great show. I love my guests, and thank you all for being so kind and so generous and of spirit and being so sweet to us. So I will see you next week. And Scott can take